Welcome to So True. Today's devotional is entitled Keeping Score, and it comes from 1 Corinthians 13, verse 5. Recently, I read a beautiful story about a grandmother celebrating her 50th wedding anniversary. Surrounded by family and friends, she was asked, "What is the secret of your long marriage?" "Oh, it's very simple," she said. "Before Henry and I got married, I determined to write down a list of 10 things that I would always forgive him quickly for and then forget about. After we got married, Henry would do certain things, and I would think, lucky for him, that's one of those things on the list." The young wives in the room scrambled to find pen and paper, anxious to copy down the 10 items on the old woman's list. "So tell us, Grandma," one of them said, "what were the 10 things?" The grandmother smiled and then said this, "To be quite honest, I never did get around to making that list. So every time Henry did something I didn't appreciate, I would simply say, lucky for him, that one's on the list." Lucky for him, he was married to her. A not-so-lucky husband described his wife as a one-woman grievance committee, always in session. In marriage, as in life, it's easy to collect hurts and recite grievances, but true love works hard at not keeping score, of keeping short accounts. According to Paul, love keeps no record of wrongs. That's how the NIV translates 1 Corinthians 13, verse 5. The verb used in this text is an accounting term that means to credit to someone's account. It is the picture of a bookkeeper turning the pages of his ledger, keeping tabs on all that has been received and all that has been spent. Paul's point is that love doesn't keep a black book on people and the wrongs that they have done against us. It forgives and forgets. It blots out and blocks out and wipes away the record of that injury or injustice. Chrysostom, the church father, observed that a wrong done against love is like a spark that falls into the sea and is quickly quenched. This kind of love is to be a way of life for the Christian for a number of reasons. On the one hand, it's the only way to survive a broken world. We will be sinned against even by those closest to us. And therefore, this kind of love is in a very real sense a matter of survival. We must keep short accounts if we're to prevent our souls from becoming acidic. Ephesians 4:31-32 tells us to put off bitterness and to quickly forgive one another as God has forgiven us. We must keep short accounts if we're not to forfeit today and tomorrow because we're a prisoner to yesterday's grievances. We need to hear Paul in Philippians 3:13-14 to forget those things which are behind and to lean into the future. On the other hand, this kind of love is the natural response of those who have been touched by the amazing grace of God in Jesus Christ. As a matter of interest, the same Greek word that Paul employs in 1 Corinthians 13, verse 5, to speak of love not keeping a record of wrongs, is used elsewhere and often in the New Testament to represent the pardoning act of God towards those who put their trust in Christ's redeeming death. The record of our sin is said to be put to Christ's account. Romans 4:8 tells us that, and then that magnificent verse in 2 Corinthians 5:19 communicates that. If God keeps no record on us, how can we, as his children and the benefactors of his grace, keep a record on others? The gospel would tell us, 1 Corinthians 13:5 would teach us, and the example of God's love in Christ would communicate this fact that you and I today need to bury the hatchet and make sure we don't leave the handle sticking up.